Today we're talking about term. Last time we talked about whole life. Today we're talking about term life. Now the differences between term and whole life is what I'm going to cover. But first, I'm simply going to talk about term life insurance, right? So term life insurance is really simple. This is the way I explain it to a client, okay? Term stands for terminate. It means it expires after a certain amount of time, right? You don't have it forever. It's going to last anywhere between 5 to 30 years, right? Now, the amount of years that it lasts is going to determine the price of the coverage. So if it's 5 years, it's going to be lower pricing. If it's 30 years, it's going to be higher pricing. Now, after that, you're going to explain to them, term coverage is a really cheap coverage because it's like renting a house, right? Renting versus owning. Meaning you don't keep it, it doesn't last forever, it's not guaranteed to pay out unless you die in the exact set amount of time, okay? Term life insurance doesn't generally have living benefits, sometimes it does, right? Term life insurance is offered by a lot of our carriers, but not all of them. Term coverage is generally gonna be worse for the client than a whole life or an IUL. The underwriting for term life has to be really healthy. The only real issues that they can have are high blood pressure, maybe cholesterol. Sometimes they'll accept thyroid. Transamerica will accept a lot of people for term, but they'll usually rate them, and they have to be in the right BMI. So if they're not in the correct BMI bracket, they'll get what's called a table rating. So it will adjust the price anywhere from 1 of the normal price to 8 of the normal price, right? So that'll be explained later, but basically, term you have to be healthy for, you have to be in the right BMI, and you usually can get a lot more coverage, right? You can get anywhere from usually about 100 to upwards of 60 million, 10 million, whatever amount of coverage you want. This is for people that want a lot of coverage for a really cheap price, right? Term life you generally won't be recommending to people unless they're really specific clients. It's used for asset protection, not just final expense, right? So think like house, cars, like expensive cars, business, right? Income, things of that nature, things that are a lot of money, things over 100,000, over 500,000, over a million. That's what you're going to use term life for. Like I said, it's probably going to be the least commonly used life insurance that you have, but it's still good to know exactly how to explain it, because if you can explain to a client that it terminates, it lasts anywhere from 5 to 30 years. After that 5 years, it'll go up in price, or 10 years, it'll go up in price, or 15 years, it'll go up in price, right? Or they'll just reassess your health and completely deny the coverage again. So you'll lose that coverage. All of the money you've put into it is going to disappear, and basically you're left with nothing, and you have to figure out insurance again, right? The way I explain term life in a bad way, the way to explain term life in a way to replace it would be to say something along the lines of, okay, let's say you have $100 a month that you're spending on a 30-year term, right? That means you're spending $1,200 a year, okay? That means that you're going to, 6,000, 36,000. That means you're going to spend 36,000 over the course of the entire life of the policy. So basically, you're taking 36,000 and you're burning it. Why? Because term policies, genuinely, this is a real metric, term policies usually pay out 1% of the time. So less than 1% of people who own term policies will ever see an actual payout from the policy. Meaning you're taking this 36,000 and you're betting it on a 1% bet. That's like taking your 30,000, 36,000, and I'll explain exactly how I'd explain it to a customer. I'd say, Dustin, you're taking 36,000 and you're putting it on green at the roulette table at the casino. Does that sound like a smart bet to you? What would the client say? They say no. every single time. I'd say, Dustin, can you tell me right now that you would take $36,000 and put it on green at the casino and trust your family's life with that? Is that what you're telling me, Dustin? And the client, of course, is going to say, no, that doesn't sound smart, Cameron. And I'm going to say, okay, perfect. So let's look at an option where you might be able to build a little bit of cash value. You'd have a permanent coverage that's guaranteed to pay out no matter how, when, or what you pass away from, and it's going to last forever. You'll own it. You won't lose it like you will with the term coverage. Does that sound like a better option to you, Dustin? And almost every single time the client will say yes. If you want to sell a term policy, though, you're going to tell them that, honestly, Dustin, you're kind of wasting money in that other policy. It's a little bit overpriced for you right now. I'm not really sure if that's what you should have in place. What most people in your situation do is they get a term coverage because it's way cheaper for way more coverage, and you're a smart man. You save your money, right? Yes. Okay, awesome. You see what I did there? I told the client he's smart, so he agrees with me when I make the recommendation of intelligence. It's a little psychology trick for you wrapped into the term. Anyways, you're a smart person, right? Wouldn't you agree that you save money and you like to invest correctly? Okay, perfect. So what you're going to do, we're going to cut the bill down, right? Because term life is cheaper than whole life usually, or IULs usually. We're going to cut the price down. We're going to get you a term life policy. You're going to take the difference. So let's say I'm saving them $100 a month. We're going to take the difference and you're going to invest the rest into retirement. That's the smarter option for you, Dustin, because then you can create generational wealth. And if you need to live off it, you still can, right? While still saving the money from the other coverage and having the same amount. That's what you're going to do if you're trying to sell the term coverage. If you're doing to replace it, do the other pitch. Now, as always, sorry, lights are about to turn off. As always, DM me, shoot me a call, shoot me a text. I'm in Discord all the time. If you need help with your term life coverage pitch, or if you need me to explain it a little bit better, just reach out and I can always do that for you.